Welcome back. Back with another banger. It's the React Files, where we react
to the creepiest, craziest, scariest TikToks. You shouldn't watch alone.
Happy New Year. It's good to see you on the other side. And if you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Let's get straight to it.
We are finding the truth about our past. And the truth that this place that we live is incredible. It's filled with perfection. And we have been distracted from it for far too long. When you walk down the street, you will now see the previous civilization's work in your city, because they are honestly everywhere, and they deserve our attention. Henry Cobb, the first Henry that we were given, is a character that needs to be covered. Here we are given a list of buildings that Cobb is credited with knocking out over 100 years ago. There is one specifically that caught my eye, and that is the Chicago Federal Building. And let's take a look at this picture for a minute. We have shown this type of nonsense before, so let's do it again. They show this fake wagon sitting on the dirt road with more people that are identical next to each other in white. These are not real people. They are all photoshopped. If we zoom in on it, you can clearly see that they are duplicates. They are copy-pasted. And the other one is all glitched out. And who just stands in the middle of a road anyway? None of it fits in. You have a massive building, yet you have horse and wagon, and you have dirt roads. If it rains, the dirt is going to become so wet, and you will not be moving any limestone. Yet this was never an issue for the mainstream narrative. The dirt is always looking like it had just been raked and perfected for the photo. There's a dirt road down the street from my house, and they have to fix that thing all the time. Otherwise, there's massive holes in it. There are no holes in this picture. It's a perfect dirt road. I'm at the point where I'm going to say that this was prepared for the photo in our new civilization. The dirt is sitting on top of the past civilization's work. These buildings are under the dirt. They are much bigger than we can see. This is not the original road. It's all backwards. The road always comes first in construction because you need to be able to access the construction site. This is obvious stuff that the narrative ignores. Like we said, getting the materials there and the machinery would be nearly impossible with dirt roads and donkeys and wagons. If it snows or rains, then just forget about it. Other than a few fake people, a couple fake wagons and a light post, this is in Chicago. And we all know that Shalaga is not abandoned. There are literally no people in this photo. My point is that if this is true, that these are Photoshop people in wagons, which is looking more and more clear that this is the case, then was this the very first picture of this building for our current civilization to see? It's strange, especially when we hear the story about the building.
That building did look like it was photoshopped. He made a good point about the road and how roads are built first before construction. It's like the more I dig, the more I find. You know? Definitely want to learn more about this. Yeah, although they're animated, of course, they still have its creepiness value to it. That was pretty painful. And when this boy got out right here into that town, like all the houses were the same. Ain't no telling where he at.
This is young Simon Cole performing in America's Got Talent in front of Simon Cole, because this is deep fake. And this is a deep fake of Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky asking his soldiers to surrender. One is entertaining, while the other is alarming about the dangers of deep fake. These are the two faces of deep fake. Due to the term fake, the phrase deep fake evokes a negative feeling. Companies like Metaphysic are doing everything they can to dispel the misconceptions about deep fakes in the public eye. This is what they did on America's Got Talent. There are many practical applications for deep fakes across a wide range of sectors. For instance, news outlets may publish news 24 hours a day, 7 days a week without the actual reporter present by using a deep fake of their own reporter. They may reduce studio and labor costs, saving the business a great deal of time and money. The news anchor Kim Joo-ha from the Korean television network MBN was deep-faked for viewers. The newsreader would be a fake, as the channel had previously informed viewers and Kim Joo-ha is still employed. However, MBN stated that it intended to keep using the deepfake for some breaking news reports. And Deep Brain A, the South Korean company that created the deepfake, has stated that it is looking for media buyers in China and the US, which has some people worried that newsreaders may become obsolete. A TikTok account solely dedicated to Tom Cruise deepfakes has been created as a result of how far deepfakes have advanced in recent years. Videos of Cruise doing everything including washing his hands and playing golf, as well as doing magic tricks, are available online. The same firm that produced a convincing imitation of Simon Cowell, Metaphysic, made this. There are many potential uses of deepfakes in the film industry. You may bring a deceased actor or actress back. It is debatable from an ethical standpoint. However, if we don't consider ethics, it's quite doable and simple. Also, it is probably far less expensive than alternative choices. Deepfakes enable translated films that feature the original actors, since they can modify footage and duplicate voices. The voices resemble the original cast members, and critically, the lip motions even match the words uttered. With the help of positive deepfakes, we can thus better exchange ideas, movies, and other creative works on a global scale, even those with tighter finances. This should increase the variety of entertainment and content we consume. In other words, deepfakes can overcome language barriers and increase the accessibility of content. Deepfakes aren't just found in videos. A rapidly expanding field with a vast array of uses is deepfake audio. Deep learning algorithms can now create realistic audio deepfakes with just a few hours of audio of the person whose voice is being replicated. Once a model of a voice is created, that person can be made to say anything. Thanks to deepfake audio, programmers may now allow gamer characters to say anything in-game rather than depending on a small number of lines that were produced before the game was released. Some people use this technology to commit financial fraud, data breaches, phishing scams, automated misinformation attacks, and the spread of misleading information from sources that are normally trustworthy. Critics also point out the risks of utilizing deepfakes to further a political agenda, such as by creating credible fake news. Politicians have also employed deepfake videos. In 2018, a Belgian political party made public a video showing Donald Trump pressing Belgium to leave the Paris Climate Accord in a speech. Trump never gave that speech. However, it was a deepfake. It can be used to scam people by using the identities of popular people, and there is enough data on social media to identify a certain influencer or celebrity. There are thousands of photos and videos online which can be used as training data to create frauds in the name of authentic people. This is some of the reasons why the AI community is afraid of making deepfaking available to everyone regardless of their background. Just like AI image generators. Just like deepfakes, AI image generators can be used for illegal activities as platforms like DALL-E become hyper-realistic and look genuine. On GitHub, a lot of deepfake software may be discovered. Deepfake production is legal because some of these apps are only used for pure entertainment, but other apps are much more likely to be used maliciously. Many experts predict that as technology advances, deepfakes will become much more sophisticated and pose more substantial hazards to the public in the form of electoral meddling, political unrest, and increased criminal activity. While deepfakes will only get more realistic with time as techniques improve, we're not wholly defenseless when it comes to countering them. Deepfake detection techniques are being developed by several businesses, some of which are startups. For instance, Sensity has created a platform for deepfake identification that works like an antivirus and notifies users through email when they are watching something that contains the telltale signs of AI-generated fake media. The deep learning techniques employed by Sensity to detect fake videos are the same techniques used to create deepfakes. Deepfake is being used by certain well-known brands to produce advertising that is distinctive and may appeal to a variety of consumers. Cadbury collaborated with Bollywood star Shah Rukh Khan on a marketing initiative for COVID-19 affected small businesses in India. Owners of businesses provided information about their establishments, and Cadbury employed the deepfake technology to simulate Mr. Khan endorsing them in targeted advertisements. A similar initiative by Lay's earlier in 2021 saw the creation of a website called Messy Messages, where fans could input their names to receive personalized messages from the legendary footballer. Deepfake is being used by brands to reduce the cost of their video advertisements. Deepfake campaigns make it easier for companies to enter foreign markets, stretch their marketing budgets, and provide audiences with hyper-personalized content at the touch of a button. And in 5 to 7 years, any individual, such as a YouTuber or TikToker, will be able to produce the same quality of visual effects that are currently only available to the most well-resourced Hollywood studios.
That was a great article. Although it did sound like it was AI itself. But yeah, all that reminds me of that episode on Black Mirror. I don't know if you've seen it, where they were using their images on their version of Netflix. Yeah, so it's all catching up, man. I mean, for entertainment purposes, it's great. You know, it has its ups and downs. It's all how you look at it. You know, glass half full.
Think you'll let us go on it? I'll ask. Right, let's keep moving. Dude, we've been walking around for 6 days. Can't we just have a break? We gotta stick to the checklist. What about that one? Huh, okay. Is that a red inflatable donut? Record what you find. Now what? Hope this was a good idea. Don't get fired again.
Excuse me, have you guys seen my red inflatable donut, please?
Is that him? This guy's a donut. Hey, do you know where this goes?
No way, you guys actually got on that thing?
See guys, this is a great example of how to let your team down. As team leaders, it's our responsibility to keep our friends safe by not making decisions like this. That didn't answer our question. Huh? That doesn't go anywhere. Ah! That was amazing. Ugh.
You found my red inflatable donut, thank you.
Finders keepers.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys following us? Can you help us off this thing now? I would, but it's not on my checklist. Say something smart. Are you okay? I saw your friends go that way. No way. They came after me?
Give me a hand.
They sure did. Follow me. What are you reading? Says here, we're totally screwed. You spelled totally wrong. Heads up. Just in here, just take a look. I brought you a snack. I can't breathe in here. I'm comfortable enough.
Shout outs to Return to Render. Yo, I never seen a backrooms explored like that. This is my first time seeing this stuff. It's pretty creepy. It's almost like you get submerged into their whole world. Let me know in the comments down below. Do y'all like the backrooms? I'm a pretty huge fan. I see myself finding more stuff. It's like its own rabbit hole in itself.
Oh, we've got your ass. We've got your ass now. The Great Wall of China? You mean the Great Wall of Tartaria? Let's take a look at a few old maps. You can see Grand Tartary in the green and China in the red. Let's take a closer look. As you can see, the wall is circled around China. And again, another Tartaria map, you can see the wall is circled around China. And if you notice, the steep side of the wall is facing China, making it hard for any invaders to climb up. And if you look closely, you will see that the lookout posts are facing China, making it easy to pick off your enemies with crossbows one by one. So no, China didn't build that wall, the Tartarians did. Oh my days.
I really didn't pay attention to why that wall was built until now. And what just, really piqued my interest is when you said which way the stations were facing, right? It's like, very interesting, right? And hey, that wall is massive. Just like the pyramids, right? Very interesting stuff.
This is the most expensive tomb you can visit in Egypt. It is the tomb of Seti I, also known as KV-17, located within Valley of the Kings in Luxor. It costs 1,000 Egyptian pounds per person to enter, and there is a limit of 120 visitors per day to this tomb. It is the longest tomb in Valley of the Kings, stretching 137 meters long or 450 feet, and it's made up of several chambers at different depths. Now, I mentioned at the start that this is one of the most expensive tombs to visit in Valley of the Kings, and that is because in Valley of the Kings there are some tombs that require extra tickets, this being one of them, and the most expensive obviously. So remember, when you visit Valley of the Kings, you have to purchase your actual entry ticket, which gives you access to 3 tombs, and if you want to enter one of the special tombs, you have to buy the extra ticket, this being one of them, and Tutankhamun. The good thing about this particular tomb is you will not feel claustrophobic within it, because the ceilings are quite high. But what I find the most interesting about this tomb is the history behind it. The tomb was discovered in 1817 by an Italian chap known as Giovanni Belzoni, and he noted that when he first entered the tomb, there was paintbrushes there, and the paintings on the walls looked like they were painted yesterday. Sometimes the tomb of Seti I will be referred to as the tomb of the Apis, and that is because an Apis bull was actually found in this tomb in one of the side rooms. This is why it's very important when you visit this tomb to take your time to explore all these little side rooms all over. There are plenty of little details that you could miss if you're not paying attention or you're rushing through, so take your time to explore. And amazingly, the sarcophagus of Seti I isn't actually located within this tomb. It is actually located in London. It's actually part of a private museum collection known as the Sir John Souness Museum. I'll be posting a full VR 360 tour of this tomb and many others soon on my channel, and of course the shorter versions here on TikTok. So make sure to follow and subscribe to keep exploring Valley of the Kings and ancient Egypt with me.
Valley of the Kings. I think it's interesting how down it goes, some steps, how deep, right, into the ground. It's funny he said how whenever story he was talking about with the paintbrushes, like someone had painted it the night before. I mean, that ceiling like it was just painted. He's talking about expensive. It's only $32, but it was still nice. I would like to see it. I would. Anybody here been to it before? Let me know.
Nope, no other way. That's our way out.
Guys?
It's fine, just go. What an amateur. I'm going next. You want this one? Alright.
I did not expect him to make the jump into the elevator. But what happened next, I didn't expect either. Those are the back rooms, y'all. Those are the back rooms. Extra creepy.
1920 is when everything pretty much changed. They started changing every single thing. They started removing certain parts of the history. They started rewriting the history. 1920s is about that time. Educational system started changing everything. Rockefeller educational system. So if you find books, you want to find books before 1920s. Because if you don't find books before 1920s, you're usually being told a bunch of nonsense. And you look at a lot of the free energy books too, and everything related to the ether, that's before 1920s. The ether was removed from the periodic table after 1908. Every book you look into, it talks about ether and terrestrial magnetism and all of these things. 1908, that was removed off the periodic table. And that was removed so that people would not believe in the ether. They would think it's woo-woo. They would think it's pseudoscience. Those are all terms of the Rockefeller educational system. Coming up with terms to debunk the truth and debunk what we were once connected to. Then when you get rid of ether, you get rid of everything related to the fifth element and the quantum. You get rid of all of that. And then you make up a whole new narrative and you remove all that so that when you can't explain something, you just say, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, 1920 seems like a pivotal year in our history. Got to keep that year in mind moving forward.
The fact that this
Very interesting. You know? It is in the Chinese calendar. Makes you wonder. Talk about a view. Man, that was home. I wonder what the other question mark slide was. The red one. That was crazy.
breaking news coming out December 31st from Daily Mail. Bill Clinton will be named as John Doe number 36 when a list of Jeffrey Epstein's associates from court filings are made public next week. By Claudia Aurora, senior reporter for DailyMail.com. Clinton, 77, will allegedly be named among dozens of Epstein's high-profile associates in documents set to be released in the first days of 2024. The pedophile's powerful friends and acquaintances are set to be exposed as part of a vast unsealing that a judge ordered just before the new year. Former U.S. President Bill Clinton is expected to be named as John Doe number 36 when a list of disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein's associates from court filings are made public. Clinton, 77, will allegedly be named among dozens of Epstein's high-profile associates in documents set to be released in the first days of 2024. The pedophile's powerful friends and acquaintances are set to be exposed as part of a vast unsealing that a judge ordered just before the new year. That will take the release date to January 1st, but as that is a holiday, it is likely the files will be made public the following day, January 2nd. Some 177 people will be identified across hundreds of files, which will shed new light on the late financier's sex trafficking operation and his network of influence. Clinton, 77, will allegedly be named among dozens of Epstein's high-profile associates in documents set to be released on the first days of 24. There's no indication the sealed records contain evidence of illegal conduct by Clinton, and equally, Virginia Giuffre made no allegations of wrongdoing against him. Clinton and Epstein shake hands in 1993 in that photo. According to ABC News, former President Clinton is Doe 36 and is mentioned in more than 50 of the redacted filings. Many of the legal filings connected to his name are surrounding the effort by Virginia Giuffre lawyers to subpoena Clinton for deposition testimony about his relationship with Epstein. There's no indication the sealed records contain evidence of illegal conduct by Clinton, and equally, Virginia Giuffre made no allegations of wrongdoing against him. Giuffre said she met Clinton on Epstein's private Caribbean island, but Ghislaine Maxwell said Clinton had never been to Little St. James. Well, let's not take her word since she was the recruiter. Personal flight logs kept by one of Epstein's pilots did not show Clinton at Epstein's island. According to ABC, Giuffre's reps contacted Clinton's attorneys at the time in 2016, and they responded by saying his testimony would not be helpful because he had never been to Epstein's island. That's not what I heard. The request was ultimately denied by U.S. District Judge Robert Sweet. Wonder who he is. ABC reports that Clinton's name is expected to be unsealed in filings surrounding efforts by Maxwell and Giuffre to get Jeffrey Epstein to answer questions after he frequently invoked his constitutional rights against self-incrimination. He took the fifth. DailyMail.com has reached out to Clinton's representatives for comment. Clinton and Epstein were in each other's circles in the early 2000s, and in 2002 it was noted that the former president had used Epstein's jet for a humanitarian mission to multiple African nations, along with many other celebrities not named in this article. The former president's representatives have long said that Clinton cut ties with the financier in 2005 before he was probed in Palm Beach, Florida. In 2019, when Epstein was arrested for child sex trafficking, Clinton's spokesperson said that the former president knows nothing of Epstein's crimes and that he had not spoken to him in over a decade. Judge Loretta Preska wrote, "Unsealed in full," quote unquote, next to the names of 177 Does, John Does, who are Epstein's friends, recruiters, victims, and others whose names will be revealed when the material is released within the coming days. ABC News reports that Clinton's name is expected to be unsealed in filings. Said that already. The material is related to a defamation case brought by Prince Andrew's accuser Virginia Roberts, also known as Virginia Giuffre, in New York against Epstein's Madam Ghislaine Maxwell. Roberts sued Maxwell for defamation in 2016, and while the case was settled, the Miami Herald, which published a bombshell expose of Epstein that led to his arrest in 2019, sued to get the documents made public. Some of the Does are identified in the ruling through links to interviews they have given to the media, which the judge cited as a reason why they should not stay private. They include the housekeepers on Epstein's private island in the Caribbean, where some of the worst abuse that he perpetuated was carried out. In a ruling, Judge Preska gave 14 days for any John Does who objected to their documents being made public to object, after which they would be unsealed. There will be documents about one of Prince Andrew's accusers who claims he fondled her at Epstein's New York mansion. There will also be material about Haley Robson, who was named as a regular in police files of Epstein's original investigation in 2006 in Palm Beach, though she has more recently claimed she was a victim too. The filings suggest some documents relate to Jean-Luc Brunel, a French model scout who was close to Epstein and allegedly abused many young women. Brunel hanged himself in a Paris prison cell in 2022 while awaiting trial on a slew of other sex charges. The documents in the case have been released on a rolling basis since 2019, when the first batch were made public days before Epstein also offed himself in a prison while awaiting trial on those charges. Among the revelations in previous batches of documents were emails between Prince Andrew and Epstein in 2015, when Roberts made allegations about Prince Andrew. Ghislaine Maxwell, 61, is serving 20 years after being found guilty of sex trafficking and procuring underage girls for late pedophile Epstein. The batch of 177 Does is the final group and includes many who were notified by the court but did not object to documents with their name on them being made public. The material is likely to include depositions, emails, legal documents, and other material not previously made public. Does 3 and 4 appear to 3 and 4 appeared to be Miles and Kathy Alexander, a South African couple who managed Little St. James, Epstein's private island in the Caribbean, for years. Judge Preska cited a 2011 interview the couple gave to the Daily Mail as one of the reasons their names should be made public. In the interview, the couple claimed that it was not their place to judge other people, even though they suspected some of the girls on the island were young. Kathy described how the Duke of York, Prince Andrew, arrived with a blonde brain surgeon in her 30s and that he urinated on her foot when she trod on a sea urchin. The tranche of documents will also include those referring to Annie Farmer, one of the women who gave evidence at Maxwell's trial. She's identified as Doe 63, as Judge Preska cites an interview she gave and notes she testified under her own name. Doe 64 appears to refer to Farmer's sister Maria, as it cites the same interview as her sister in which both of them spoke. The hundreds of files will shed new light on the late financier's operation and his network of influence. Doe 67 is one of the recruiters who was named during Maxwell's trial for luring a very young girl into Epstein's web. Carolyn Adriano, who testified at Maxwell's trial that she was recruited at age, man, that's young, and reportedly, by Epstein, is identified as Doe 5 due to an interview which the ruling cited. Tragically, she, passed earlier this year in a hotel room in Florida. Doe 23 appears to be Brunel, as it refers to a person who was, quote, subject to a widely publicized criminal prosecution abroad for blank trafficking, end quote. Brunel was arrested for the crime in France but committed before he could go to trial. Doe 24 is the only one who is identified by name, Harvard Law professor Alan Dershowitz, who has publicly called for all material related to him to be made public. Judge Preska cited an NBC News interview she gave as the reason for unsealing material related to Doe 44. Among those who spoke out in that interview were Roberts and Epstein victim Anusia DeGiorgio, along with Shantae Davies, another woman who says she was repeatedly blanked by the Blankophile. Also featured in the interview are Epstein victims Jennifer Arosa and Rachel Benavides. It is unclear which person the ruling refers to. Doe 154 is Haley Robson, who spoke out in the Netflix series Filthy Rich about Epstein's crimes and described how she was allegedly a blank victim by the age of blank when she got caught in his web. In the interview cited by Judge Preska, Robson says that her images portrayed in police reports, she bragged that she was like Heidi Fleiss, the infamous Hollywood madam. She was not mature enough to understand what was happening to her at the time. Great. Reset. It's a terrible case. So far, only small excerpts of her deposition have been made public, and those have been damning for Prince Andrew. And that is the end of the article.
Yeah, I was suspicious that the Post broke the news, but as you see, it's in the Daily Mail as well. So this is international right now. And you see names are starting to slowly come out, although some we aren't surprised. Yeah, the official list come out tomorrow. And just listening, man, this is just scary stuff, bro.
Matters. Welcome. And today, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. What does really matter? We touch on a lot of different topics on all these different channels, all mostly based on the past and what happened in our past. What happened to the past civilization? Why weren't we told about it? And is the past going to repeat itself? And when? So many different angles and clues. And we could consider Tartaria. Tartaria shown on so many different maps from the past, and always leaving us to consider, were these respected map makers such as Ortelius and Mercator simply madmen, along with countless others, depicting this nation or empire or simply people of Tartaria? And whether one is to believe that this people ruled all throughout this realm, or just select to the regions of Central Asia, moving west, north, and east. The idea that we were never taught of these people and that they seem to have been erased from our history is enough reason to say that these people in this part of the puzzle matters. Who were these people? How did they live? And why is this knowledge being kept from us? Now, I'm sure by now many of you have seen the CIA document talking about this exact subject, the erasing of Tartaria in history, and not actually done by the CIA, but the CIA simply having commentary on the subject in a memo that I believe was now declassified, and many question the authenticity of this document, but nonetheless, very interesting. And what about the reset? Does the reset really matter? And what is the reset? The reset is an idea that we have clues of past and much more magnificent civilizations than our own existing as little as 200 to 400 years ago, based on the architecture and layouts of our cities and forts, which in past times were called bastion forts and what we call star forts, existing all throughout this realm. Things that we can't replicate today, and really not being hidden at all, just given ridiculous stories on how they were created, and in modern times being repurposed for many different things, one being the pedestal for our Statue of Liberty, and in other instances being backfilled with dirt and turned into golf courses. But back to the reset. Does the reset matter? And if you're interested in survival, I suppose it does. And if you're interested in simple history, then it does as well. To me, it is clear there is a reset, what seems to be every 400 years. And it seems to involve water and fire. Oftentimes the fire being a byproduct of what seems to be a plasma electrical discharge raging through our realm, causing canyons and melting cities overnight. And in other cases, we see the results of massive flooding. And not only flooding that came from oceans in a horizontal direction, but waters that came from beneath, pushing up and displacing the land and causing new and varied elevations, in many cases causing what we call mud flood to seemingly bury the lower levels of buildings, in some cases completely burying cities entirely. And we can see examples of this found everywhere. And this leads right into mud flood. The mud flood is a mystery to us, many different theories coming from all angles. And again, this could be the result of water, or it could be the result of this plasma discharge, this superheated event that renders matter and formerly buildings into what now looks like mud. And we see this everywhere, especially in the North American Southwest. But in many cases we do see mud flood in major cities with no sign of any heat damage. And when we look at these cataclysms with mud flood and plasma discharges pertaining to resets, the big question, once one begins to wrap one's head around this notion, is how do these resets occur? Are these a product of man or non-humanoid? Or is this more of a natural cycle? And I tend to believe that it is a cycle, again, every 400 years. And I have some very exciting research to share with you on that subject, but it deserves its own video. And this reminding me of a larger season, a grand cycle. Many cultures sharing these cycles, calendars and artifacts left behind long after the people that made them disappeared. And it is clear that there's different resets. Again, the Native Americans tell us there have been 5. And this very last reset that seems to be 200 to 400 years ago, as I've mentioned in past videos, does not seem to be or have been as violent as prior resets. Prior resets turning structures, and some of the most massive structures, into unrecognizable, what we call mountain. And yet when we look at this past reset, we see the most beautiful architecture in the world. The same architecture used most often for government, capitol buildings, courthouses, post offices, and so many other municipalities. But not limited. The architecture from this past civilization and this past reset remains intact, built of the finest quality, built in a far superior fashion than anything we build today. And the buildings remain, and they are still so new looking that our people had the gall to write silly stories about them, and how our primitive horse and carriage people built these structures with a very small, unskilled population so recently, and all the people are gone. Then here we've been trying to figure out what happened in ancient times, and yet now we begin to understand. Beyond 200 years we know very little about the history of our existence. And here we contemplate the past and what happened to the past people, in which we've inherited all of their buildings and cities and infrastructure. And the next question is simply...
Yeah, lots and lots of questions. Yeah, it's funny how those architectures are a lot of our Capitol buildings and government buildings. I mean, some of them pics were ahead of their time. And some of the monolithic structures was crazy. Like he said, are our mountains today. And like he said, we make stories about it like in fairy tales and stuff. It's crazy. So yeah, there's a lot of questions.
No running. Wanna go on that slide with me?
Sure.
You was up there.
Not filming people, you creep. What are you doing?
Looking for a shortcut. You coming? Nice one, buddy. Good. What a surprise.
Another slide.
Okay. finally gone.
Ugh.
Alright, ready to go?
And that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed tonight's rabbit hole. And if you haven't already, please take a second just to smash that like, subscribe, ring that notification bell, just to make sure the algorithm knows what's up. So what we gonna do, y'all? That's right. Run these numbers up. Thanks again. Until next time.